Hey folks, Doug Blake with Body Design University. This is going to be a real quick video on the OPT model. Now, I'm looking at chapter 21, and folks still have some issues when it comes to kind of understanding the whole basis behind the optimum performance training model. So, what I want to do is just kind of a real quick overview, basically looking at table 21.3 in this particular video. And of course, as we move forward, there'll be more in-depth explanations of the OPT model itself. Not very difficult, but it's when you get to table 21.3, and I'm on page 685 to go over this. Um, NASM puts a lot of emphasis on understanding the concepts behind the different levels and the phases. And the way it works is that you have three levels, right? So level one is the stabilization level. Then you have level two, which is the strength level. It's not really level two. It's just the level. So it's stabilization, strength, and power. The phases have the numbers associated with them. So the lowest or the base level on the OPT sort of half pyramid is stabilization, and then you have strength and then power. And one of the easiest ways to keep in mind is that you have these um, five phases, and so the levels. There's only three levels. The first, the bottom, and the top are only one phase each. So there's a level and a phase. And then at the top, there's a level and a phase. It's the middle level, the strength level, where you have three phases. And again, when you look in a table 21.3, relatively easy to kind of memorize if you just write the table back out again. But the stabilization, strength, and power, and it's good to just kind of understand that those three levels are helping us to appreciate that stabilization, balance training, things like that are really at the base or at the heart and soul of trying to help people to establish a resistance training program. And so you have stabilization. Again, the stabilization level has one phase. Then you got the strength level and then the power level. And the power level has one phase. That's why it's always easy to kind of remember this. The second level, the strength level, has three phases to it. Three phases to it. So stabilization level has stabilization endurance training. Now, the key to the key to kind of dealing with this and memorizing it is that it's very simple because the level and the phase have the same words in it. Stabilization level has stabilization in the phase, but it's stabilization endurance. And then the power level, power training in the phase. So easy to memorize that. Strength is where you might get into a tad bit of an issue. And so the strength level has phase two, phase three, and phase four. Strength level has phase strength in the name. So strength endurance training, then phase three is muscular development training, and then maximal strength. So if you just look at table three and look at um, the two columns that give you the level and the phase, just memorizing those terms alone is going to help you quite a bit when it comes to answering some of the questions as to how many repetitions, what's the purpose of this phase, what are some of the options to get into. Again, sticking with table 21.3, the primary adaptations. If you look at the bullet points, simply look for words that are easy to associate with either the word in the level or the words in the phase. Mobility and flexibility is going to be a primary adaptation in the stabilization level, phase one, stabilization endurance, core and joint stabilization, right? Postural alignment and control. All of these equate with either the ability to control and maintain balancing during training. So postural alignment control, muscular and aerobic endurance. Okay. Um, the strength level phase two, strength endurance training, core strength. You'll notice that when you look at primary adaptations for that first phase, You don't see the word strength in there at all. You get it? Easy to memorize at least the couple of these. Um, all the all of the primary adaptations for the rest of the phases 2 through 5 all contain in some way, shape, or form the word strength. So you know. Core strength, joint stabilization. This is the strength endurance training. Again, if it were me, I would be writing out the tables the way you see it here, and it's easier to memorize. Muscular endurance and prime mover strength. Similar to phase 1, except you're trying to develop prime mover strength. So the strength endurance training phase, core strength, muscular strength, and hypertrophy. Well, muscular development is hypertrophy, so that's an easy equation to make with these with the terms. So primary adaptations, that's phase 3. Muscular development. Phase 4 is maximal strength, and that's going to be just like we saw in phase 2, core strength and maximal muscular strength. I think phase 4 is one of the easiest ones to memorize because it's only got two simple to remember bullet points. And then, of course, phase 5, power, level 5, level, power level, phase 5, power. Interestingly enough, what's the first bullet point? Core strength. So obviously, core strength is what we're seeing the entirety of these 2 through 5 phases. Maximal muscular strength and rate of force production. You'll notice lots of similarities, except when you get to the particulars of power. Now you've got rate of force production, which is a synonymous with power itself. Primary methods of progression. When you read through this again, these are going to make sense. Master the basic movement patterns. That's always going to be the stabilization phase, right? That's the very beginning. You would have read that already as you went through the textbook. Progress exercises proprioceptively once basic movement patterns are established. Once you got it figured out, right? Then you're going to progress the exercises proprioceptively, meaning controlled yet unstable, right? You're going to use your feeling about it. You're going to use the way your body is moving in time and space. Increase the complexity of exercises once basic movement patterns have been established. You get the generalization here. Once basic movement patterns have been established, that's kind of the point of phase 1 in the stabilization level. Once you get into phase 2 or the strength endurance, remember strength endurance training, you're trying to decrease your rest periods. That's what should help assist with endurance. Increase the volume of exercises, reps and sets, increase the load of resistance, right? Because you're doing strength with the endurance component, increase the complexity of resistance, training, exercises. That's fine. You're going to notice some similarities here, which is why, again, this becomes relatively easy to memorize. Phase 3 is muscular development. So you're going to increase the volume of exercises. Well, that's pretty similar to what we just read. You could, if you wanted to, use like a something, a magic marker, something to kind of mark off where they're all the same. And what you'll be left with is maybe 1 or 2 bullet points where they are different. And that's what you need to know, the differences between these. Get to phase 3, look what it says. Increase the volume. Same as phase 2. Increase the complexity. Same as phase 2. Phase 4, increase the load of resistance training exercises for maximal strength. Well, looks like that's similar to phase 2. Increase the load of resistance training. Same thing. Increase the sets of resistance training. Okay, well, that's kind of like a volume issue. Very similar then. So your primary methods of progression are all going to be very similar. Now we're on power training, phase 5. Looks very similar. Increase the load. Well, that's exactly what it said in phase 4. Increase the speed. Now that's different because it's power. And power has a time element to it, not just a load element. And then increase the sets of exercises. And now you're looking at the same thing as the previous phases. Again, the easiest thing to do when looking, because table 21.3 is a very important summary chart of the OPT model, read through it, see if you can memorize it, and then start looking at the bullet points that are similar and remove them, and then you'll start to see the differences. And there are not too many differences in any of these boxes here that now you can equate with that particular phase or that particular in that particular level. Again, there's nothing difficult as far as conceptually when it comes to the materials. Just a fair amount of materials. That's why I wanted to go over this, because apparently students still have some challenges when they're trying to understand the purpose of each of these phases and level. And I'm hoping this helps. If you got any questions or want a more elaboration on this topic, just let us know. Write it in the comment box below. And by the way, if this was helpful, even though we're short, just let us know by typing the word understand in the comment section below as well. Remember to subscribe, share, and give us a thumbs up if you like the material. The goal is to help you to pass the NASM exam on your first shot. So let us know how we can help you with that. Have a great week. See you next week.